Hi my YouTube loves. Okay, so today's video is gonna be showing you guys how I maintain and wash my makeup brushes. There's really essentially there's only two things, well technically two things you need. The first is the soap, and I'll go ahead and put a picture of it here. And then the other thing I use is a mat with the different things, and I will link the mat below. I got the mat on Amazon, and I got the brush cleaner at Target. It's by Sonia Kashuk. Really, as long as you have a Target near you, you can find it. And I showed you guys how in the videos, in the clips I insert, I'm going to show you guys how I wash my brushes, how I set them to dry, and now I'm also going to show you the aftermath. Here's my brushes, and this is just a few of them that I can put in my hands right now. Let the clip show you the proof. If you're interested, just keep on watching. Just before I start, let me do a little bit of a rundown. This is my bag of brushes. There's a lot of Morphe brushes, and we're gonna get through a lot of these. So we're gonna get through a lot of these today. What I've been using to wash my brushes is a small, the mini mats from Sigma. But today, I'm actually gonna try out this new one, which is the Express brush cleaners. I got this on Amazon. I paid $6.99. They have multiple colors. And then the last thing I want to talk about is this guy, and I got him at Walmart for $5, and it's the eliminates color, holds brushes while drying. So it's supposed to fit 2 large brushes, 4 medium brushes, 8 small brushes. So $5. I'm gonna see how it works. These are the brushes we're gonna wash right now. And these are Morphe R14, Morphe G37, Sigma E34, Sigma F80, Morphe R34, Sigma E7, Morphe R2, and Morphe E20. So these are, a lot of them are the rose gold, and some of them are the Elite 2 collection. And this says, you know, it tells you eyes, and then this half is face, this half is eye, and then this is the rinse area, but we don't really care. Okay, so the first brush I'm taking is the Morphe R34, and this first go around was just one pump, and I just got it wet, and I'm just trying to get some residue off of there. I'm squeezing any excess water out to kind of see where I'm at with getting the gunk off, and then I just went ahead and added another pump if I'm unsatisfied with the cleanliness of the brush at the moment. So this is just the second go round. This will be the only brush that I kind of give you the real-time view of, simply because it'll just take me too long. Normally with eye brushes, I'll take about a minute, give or take, just to make sure it's as clean and as good as possible. If I feel like there's some staining, or I'm not satisfied with the first go around, I will just simply spray the brush one more time, and I want to make sure that I rinse it enough times to get all that soap out of there, because if you leave any residue on it, it will mess up the texture of the brush and it will feel a little bit waxy. So you just want to make sure you get all of that soap out, and that's what I'm doing here. Once I feel that I've gotten all the gunk off of it, and basically the water's running clear, so there's no soap in there, there's no color, then this is basically when I begin to squeeze the brush just to get rid of any excess water, and just kind of prepping the brush for drying. And it's just kind of a cool little thing, and you can kind of see the result here. I was pretty happy with my result. So, yeah. Okay, so this next brush is the Sigma F80. This is basically a foundation brush. It's very similar to one of the Morphe brushes that I'll show you.
But as you can see, I'm pretty rough. I'm just kind of speeding through these clips because it'll take me too long. For foundation, I want to say normally these bigger brushes, they will take me about a minute 30 to 2 minutes per brush. And normally I will pump like 3 to 4 pumps of the soap just to make sure I get everything deep in the bristles and I don't have any residue. I've had this brush for a few years now and I've washed it many times and I've never had any shedding of any kind with it. So I would definitely recommend this brush, and it lays on your foundation beautifully. So there's my 2 cents. And this is the Morphe R6, like I said, pretty similar to the Sigma brush I just showed you in the previous clip. And same thing, about 3 to 4 pumps. I didn't have any issues with any shedding. I got essentially all that makeup off. So make sure you look at the clips at the end of the video because I show you the kind of after effect of a dirty brush and a clean brush and kind of how they compare. But I'm just applying the same techniques, not anything lighter, not anything softer, and no issues with the bristles. I've also had this maybe 6 months, and I've never had any issues with shedding or anything like that. So I would also recommend. And you'll see that with all my brushes, I make sure I squeeze any excess water out, off of them just to get them ready for drying and make that process a little bit faster. So unfortunately, I'm not at my house. I don't have the name of this brush, but I'll make sure to link it if I can find it. But this brush I usually use for blush. This is the first time I washed it, and I did experience slight shedding. I think I lost maybe 1 to 2 pieces of it. And even though I use it for blush, it actually cleaned up really, really nicely and ended up being completely white, almost like brand new. So that was pleasant, but I'll link it once I find it. Okay, now this brush is what I typically use for my blush. I've had this for some time now, and it's the Morphe M405. It has the white bristles, and I think this one I might have shed maybe like 1 or 2 bristles from it. I thought you would be able to see it in the clip, but you can't. And unfortunately, I didn't film the end of the washing. I don't know what happened there, but apparently I didn't. But this one, because the bristles are white, it did have a little bit of staining, although I don't mind that, to be honest. This next brush is the Morphe E34, and I love this brush. This is the brush I always use for my contouring or for bronzing up my face when it's dry. You'll see it when it's dry, but it has kind of a thick fan. So I really, really love that brush for that, and I would definitely recommend it. These next 2 brushes are also Morphe. They're eyeshadow brushes. One's a fluffy brush and then one's a flat end brush. And I tried to wash both at the same time, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I ended up washing one and then washing the other. Okay, so I normally, like I said, I put just 1 pump and I just go ahead and if I need to reapply a pump, I do so. The goal is just to get all the color off of them and make sure I get all the excess water out of them. These next 2 brushes are Morphe M322 and the Sigma E57. They're both small type of eye brushes, and I apply the same technique. I apply the same cleanser, and as you can see, I don't get any shedding on any of them. I've gotten Morphe brushes from online, and I've gone into the store and purchased them as well. So that's all I can say about that.
I went ahead and like I said, I inserted these that way. And so this is the part that's gonna go down. These feel really secure in here. This is pretty secure. Yeah, that's the best word we can use. The only thing is, well, it holds 14. So this one, it's kind of taken over that, but you just have to make sure your brushes don't go past this thing. so that they don't touch the ground. So this essentially goes like this, but it does hold pretty much every size of brush that I own. You know, you don't want your like foundation brushes just lying flat, because then they won't dry. They'll dry in that way, and then it'll be, you know, kind of indented in there. So since you don't want that, you know, a lot of people use these types of setups to hold or to have brushes dry. What I do is I just go ahead and put them at the edge, so that the brushes, the bristles themselves, are hanging over the edge, any shape, because there's nothing touching them. The benefit of this is the water does all just go down, so you don't have to worry about any of the water seeping back into this part of the brush. But it'll make the glue loosen up, so then this ends up getting detached from the barrel. But that's nothing that serious. I think that with some, you know, crazy glue, honestly, you can just put it back together and you're fine. Weird ass angle. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. You want to make sure none of your brushes are touching, and I think I put it a little crooked, but you want to make sure none of your brushes are touching the bottom, because you don't want them to get flattened out, which none of mine are. This is the technique for the rest of the brushes. I've got some counter space, so I'm just gonna do that for the rest of these brushes.
And here you can see the staining I was talking about on the third brush from the left, and you can kind of see it slightly on some of the eyeshadow brushes, but it's minimal.
Clean brushes. Yay.
After they dry, the bristles are kind of stuck together, and you know, they look a little weird, but literally all you have to do is run your hand through it, fingers like that, and your bristles will go right back into their shape, so that they don't look like weird or anything. But as you can see, I wash all my brushes with that, whether it's Morphe brushes, Sigma brushes, Makeup Forever brushes, e.l.f. brushes, all my brushes, I use the same technique, the same system. I think I had maybe one, at most two brushes that shed on me, and by shed, I don't mean like exaggerated clumps of the brushes came off. No, it was literally maybe like one or two little pieces that were flying around, and I think that was potentially this brush. You'll see it in the clip. I'll make sure to include that in the clip. And then I think it was this brush. They were both Morphe brushes, but you can tell from my videos I'm pretty rough when I wash my brushes. Some of these brushes I've washed already multiple times, like my Sigma brushes and like the Morphe R6 brush, you know, like, which is what I use for my foundation. And I'll show you the difference, like clean brush, dirty brush. And the only out of all my brushes, which I think I have maybe like 40, maybe that's an overstatement, 30, I don't know how many brushes I have, but out of all the brushes I have, and even here, this is the only one whose top is loose, but it's not loose enough that, like, literally if you use it like this, it's not gonna fly off. Okay, if you do it that hard, it is gonna fly off. Like, you know, I used this brush today when I filmed this makeup look, and it's not like this is like falling off. You can always crazy glue it, you know, but obviously that happens from when the water seeps into the brush. I've repurchased the soap once before, and even though I've only used like this much of it, I've washed all of my, because when I wash brushes, I tend to be as thorough as I can and wash all of them, just because, like I said, I don't wash them as often as I should. But I can show you a couple of comparisons of the brushes. Clean, dirty, and these are both angled brushes by Morphe. The M405 and the R6. This is the Sigma brush, and this is the Morphe one. So the Morphe is the clean one, the Sigma is the dirty one. but they're essentially the same brush other than maybe a little bit of difference in height, and they both, neither one shed, nothing like that. And I've for most of my brushes, I've washed at least, you know, 2 to 3 times since I purchased them. I've washed multiple times before, no shedding. And you'll see that, like, this one I've used, this one's clean, but there is a little bit of staining on it. For blush would stain a little bit more, but for example, this is one that I've used for blush and it perfectly came off. But for example, this one that I've used for blush, and even though I've already used this did have slight staining on it, which, you know, I don't know if that really matters to anybody. And you'll see I'm pretty rough with my brushes when I'm washing them because I'm trying to get all the gunk out, like everything. Yeah, that's how I wash my brushes. And if you guys have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any comments, leave them down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye guys.